Yeah.
Okay. And we will get to some audience questions at the end, but first of all, without giving away too much, for those who have not yet seen Immediate Family, can you share some information about the play and what inspired you in writing it?
Sure. Well, I thought you were going to ask me, can you share what happened?
You want to tell us about that? I know how sensitive you were about sharing the details.
We'll get back to it.
Okay.
We were backstage, and
Let's talk about
I was telling Phylicia backstage I'm having the recurring, not nightmare, but the recurring vision of the accident happening over and over again. And she was like, okay, stop. But to the play, it is about adult siblings. There are no parents involved, there are no children involved. Adult siblings and them dealing with the question of why are we staying in each other's lives when there are no parents to say you have to come home for Thanksgiving, you all have to come home for Christmas, you all have to come for so-and-so's birthday, So what drives them to come together and stay together and build what can be a future together? And what inspired me to write it is really, I talked myself into a corner. It was my own ego. I was in a theater company in Chicago, which was based on creating new work. And I was a member of the company. I was a Chicago actor that was doing well in musicals and regional theater, and that was sort of my position in the company. I would act in most of the plays. And they were doing a New Works Festival to present to their stakeholders and board members about work they might be considering doing in the future. And my ego just got to me. I was feeling some type of way, and I said, well, why can't I present my new work? And they, of course, they were my friends and colleagues, and they said, of course you can present something. We didn't know you had written anything. So just, of course you can, we only have to show a scene, so sure, can we see the play? And I said, you can see it tomorrow. And I went home.
I know that's right.
And I can laugh about it now because that's how we do. Somebody told us we can't do something.
You do it anyway. Yeah.
So I painted myself into a corner, which I learned is somewhat helpful as an artist as you go forward in your career. You paint yourself into a corner so you can figure out what skill set do I have to get myself out of this situation. And it teaches you to be a better director. It teaches you to be a better producer, a better human being. You talk yourself into the life that you want. So that's how it came about. I lied. I had to make my mind to the truth.
I was forced to do it. Ms. Phylicia, can you talk about how you came to this play, and you've been with it for a while, and your connection with Paul, and why you wanted to become involved with nurturing this production? What touched you?
Well, in answer to your first question, Paul and I met doing Charleston Olio, which was a musical adaptation of Some Cry, Some Sing, written by Ifa Baeza and her sister Isabel Shange. For those of you who don't know this book or have not read it, please find it. It is beautiful. So that's how we met in Mississippi, right? Because we were doing a workshop. And so after the workshop, Paul called me up and he said, oh, did I ask you to direct my play? I said, no. So I want you to direct my play. It's going to be at the Goodman in Chicago, and I'd like very much for you to direct it. I said, okay, let me read it. So he sent the play to me, and at the time, I'm telling you.
I know.
At the time, were there 7?
8.
The play had 8 different locations.
An airport, a nightclub, a cemetery, an apartment out of town,
Barbecue shops. So I said, what would happen? that's a question I ask all the time. What would happen if the play was in the house? If it happened in the home? And without blinking an eye, he didn't think twice. He said, oh yeah, that could happen.
Well, we were on the phone. I did blink. You just said
Yeah.
I was blinking like crazy.
You were very sad.
I was blinking.
And it really gave the play something it didn't have before, because the house is a character, as it holds the history of his family. Unspoken, you don't even, nobody's being pedantic, nobody's going to explain anything to you. You feel that. You see it, you feel that. So that was the first part. And then while we were working, we had a wonderful producer who thought to shape every scene. And the man was not a theater artist. But he meant well. But we knew. And then there came that last straw. That last straw where Paul came to me the night before.
Final preview.
Right, with this scene. And I looked at him, I said, I'm not looking at that scene.
But look at the scene.
I'm not looking at that scene because you have already said everything that needs to be said. Now we're going to end this thing in silence.
Which is what I had written. But I had given in to the pressures of the...
When did you write that?
I mean, I had written it to end in silence, but I had given in to that pressure that they were on me to write
I
this
didn't see
extra.
that. But anyway, okay, so fast forward. It must have been, was it a year later? I had a relationship, still have a relationship at the Mark Taper Theater in Los Angeles. And I was asked if there was a play that I wanted to do. And I recommended Immediate Family. And they read it and said they couldn't stop laughing. And they said, yeah, we'll do this play. So we took it to Los Angeles, and it was very successful there.
Nice.
And then, now we're in Charlotte.
So many people come to me and say, Charlotte? This is big. Why Charlotte? And could you talk a little bit about the relationship you have with Charlotte, with the Blumenthal and Tom Gabbard? I know they've been involved as well. They're even a producing partner. And tell us a little bit about that.
I met Tom Gabbard. Is he here? Yes, and his wife Vicki, the true CEO of Blumenthal.
They know what it is.
Years ago, Tom was a business relationship with Stephen Kendall, who were two of the producers of the show, The Goodman, and they had said, Tom, come see the show. We might want to do something with it. How that kind of stuff goes. A few years later, I was in Obama World, which I'm sure we'll get to, and the Democratic National Convention was coming to Charlotte. So I was on the team, and I was the surrogate supervisor. So I had a team of 5, and we had an office here, right downtown down there. And I was watching Charlotte become Charlotte, rising to the occasion of building and getting ready for this convention. But my teams, the perimeter that they set up, for those of you who've been here for more than 13 years, they set up a perimeter, and you couldn't even get to your own job. It would take you an hour to come through the security, right? So my team's hotel was outside the perimeter as well, and it was taking us way too long to get to work every morning. So I think the Handles called Tom and said, you remember the guy we told you about, the actor and writer? He's in Charlotte doing this and that, and if there's any help you can give him. And Tom reached out to me and said, well, I run the Blumenthal Arts Bell Theater building, And I've got ensemble dressing rooms downstairs that we can turn into like army barracks for you and your team.
Wow.
And they made air mattresses, put standing lamps, and we moved into the bowels of the belt. So that every morning we could get up and just walk.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
And then Vicky said, well, can I be a volunteer driver? So there she was pulling up, you know, Gloria, hop in, let's go. Picking up Don Cheadle at the airport, you know, Vicky was, you know, moving it. So that's how we became, you know, you have those experiences where you become suddenly very tight with someone. And it goes beyond, oh, this person I knew who introduced me to this person. That relationship becomes bonded in that way. And then artistically, we just stayed in touch over the years. Lo and behold, Hamilton comes to town, and he and Vicky are like, what is happening now? How are you? What's happening? What? And then he said, I'd like you to come back and maybe do a residency cabaret thing. There's some student masterclass teaching you could possibly do. The Bloomies, y'all heard of the Bloomie, of course? So for the past several years, I've been doing masterclasses, preparing those young people for the Bloomies, the Jimmies, the Bloomies. And Charlotte is my second home. So.
Miss Phylicia, you have some personal connections to the Carolinas. Would you like to share your family and ancestors and legacy?
Yeah. He's right
Yes.
here.
My mother, poet Vivian Ayers, was born in Chester, South Carolina,
Wow. Okay.
as were both her parents. And that's home.
Mm.
So as a little girl, visiting Chester, I would visit Charlotte
Oh.
because we had relatives here as well. So that's lifelong, lifelong connection.
It's in the soil, yes. And we're part of the journey. And where does the journey move on to for this play? You have also some hopes for moving it beyond, Charlotte?
I've learned over the years that the best, as always, the journey is to parts unknown, but the journey that we can handle is digging in a little deeper every night into the show.
Mm-hmm.
That's the journey we can take.
Yes.
So the journey that I look forward to is what's going to be deeper on Wednesday that we didn't quite find on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to surprise us on Thursday that we say, yeah, go with that. And I have to tell you, as a playwright, you learn how to play your position. The play is written, so I'm more the architect. Oh, she's laughing because I haven't quite learned to play. You continue learning, though, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe that's why this happened. Just slow me down and shut me up. But I feel like the writer is the architect into the blueprint, but Phylicia puts on the helmet with the light and goes into the caverns and caves and checks the foundation and makes sure the building can stand. Says maybe we should actually put a pipe over here so this can stand properly. And so the investigation is the fun part. That's what I hope for the journey, is to just keep building that tree and that beautiful tree.
Amen.
Miss Phylicia, as the director, this play's going to be here for pretty much a month. How are you shaping it still? How is it growing? How is it developing?
Let me just say we're working with an incredible cast.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a good thing now.
And what I'm enjoying most about this cast is that it is composed of theater artists whose names and work I did not know prior to casting sessions. And seeing them in casting sessions, I was very excited by them, to choose them, you know. So, I don't sit in a corner and think about things to have done. It doesn't work that way. I'm watching the actors in rehearsal. rehearsal. And as I watch them, I see things because of what they're doing. It really is kind of a wellspring of inspiration for me. I'm really very thankful for what I'm seeing them, often what I'm seeing them do. And we create a safe space. And I just, it's going to be handed. I mean, the stage manager is going to be an incredible stage manager. I mean, comes from theater royalty. Yes, they're going to carry this forward. The stage manager and this company of actors and the theater staff, they're going to carry this work forward. So it's just, working together, put that together in a way that is natural, a way that becomes spontaneous for them to discover or conversate or to reenact every time as if it were the first time, because there's great skill in that. It requires great skill to perform a play every time like it's the first time. Some actors are just, they got to be busy, and they got to run around and do something, and manipulate, and get to feel excited about what they do. But that's not really the power and the strength of our craft as actors. That's really not it at all. And these actors are masterful. And they'll be taking it forward for you to enjoy.
Amen.
To the themes of immediate family. It's so interesting. It's that mix of drama and lots of humor. As you said, very funny, which we know in families. You get your drama, you get your humor. And also the complicated relationships in a family. And this is particularly in black families, you do have some cultural touchstones like Midwest, but many of his themes are also, yes, they do, are universal. Could you speak to both how the play features themes that are very particular to this particular family and family members, but also universal themes that anyone can relate to?
Me?
Yes.
I was musing on it, and so good drugs for the pain, I think that because I'm an actor as well, I speak through a lens of actors first, or at least I did with this play. It was the first play I'd written. When you try to be funny, as you know, you will fail.
Yeah.
If you try to be dramatic, it'll be flat. So what you want to do is just speak the truth, because the truth is pretty damn funny.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth can also knock you off your feet. So the challenge and the dare from the spirits is we dare you to tell the truth. And be courageous enough to let that be what you put out in the world. Mm-hmm. And that we got you. We got you. If you tell the truth, we got you. So what you also learn in acting and from great directors is the more specific you are, that makes it universal. So you also don't try to be universal, Mary. You get very specific about this family and what is Ronnie doing, what does she bring in her bag that tells a story. Every specific thing makes the thing universal, because you have a family from Mexican culture or Polish culture, and they won't understand necessarily what this is, but they can tell what it is because they have their own version of that in their culture. So if you shy away from getting into the specifics of your culture, you are of service to no one by trying to be of service to everyone. So as a writer, that's what I can say. And I think you can speak to specificity and indirectly. Like this specificity of the desserts they have at the table. You'll see they have banana pudding, rum raisin cheesecake, peach cobbler.
That's right.
You know, things that we have that maybe if you're from a culture that doesn't have those things, it doesn't matter. What matters is you see the look on their face. When Tony is talking about, we have rum raisin cheesecake, we have German chocolate cake, we have pineapple salad. Spoiler alert. Yeah. So I think the more specific I can get, the more universal it is.
Well, Ms. Phylicia, I was answering a question that actually resonates with somebody in the audience, which is about theme of family in your work and the work you choose. You put so much in everything you do, and that they're saying that it seems from the Cosby Show to purpose, immediate family, that theme of family, it seems like one that you do choose when you involve yourself in a project. And they ask, and I ask, if you could elaborate on that. Is that very purposeful?
Well, it is, and also, we're human beings, right? And we all have families. That is something we all have, right? So it seems to me that those very well-written pieces and soul-written pieces are about family that don't say they are. Right? Right? Family is good for you.
Yes, it is.
It just is. You know, you're dealing with complexity of relationships, right? And what human beings hold, offer, withhold, hide. This is life. Yeah. Theater is life. And I'm interested in work that resonates with people and that reveals that as human beings, we are much more alike than we could ever be different.
Yes. Now, I don't want to get too political, but do both of you feel that these kinds of works, particularly when you're illuminating the complexity of Black families, are especially important to bring to the public and to audiences at a time when it seems like so much about Black achievement, Black accomplishments is kind of being downplayed, in some cases even erased?
You know what? It's not just Black.
Yeah.
Think about it. Think about education.
Yep. Yeah.
Think about research. Think about it. Look at what is happening to us as human beings. When children have no interest in reading.
Talk about it.
When we are not teaching our children to write in script. Do you know what this means?
Yes.
This means generations of people who will have to depend on someone to tell them what Martin Luther King wrote.
Yes.
They don't have to think. As dean of the College of Fine Arts, I was aghast to see these beautiful, bright young people come who had not learned basic literary and writing skills in junior high school and high school because it's not being taught.
Right.
I learned about principal parts of speech when I was 7 years old. We all did. You say this to some college students, they look at you like you're from another planet because they don't understand and it isn't their fault. So what are we doing?
Right.
And let's not just, let's not get confused by the smoke and mirrors of racism and class. That's smoke and mirrors. We are one humanity, and we are all being affected by what we allow.
Amen.
That's right. Yes.
This is when you talk about one human family, and I don't think we're giving away too much to say one of the themes involved in the play, and in the purpose actually, is relationship with members of the family who are in the LGBTQ community. And Of course, there are many stereotypes going around about how Black families feel about that, but it's really more complicated than that. Would you like to speak to that, Paul?
I'm going to try to piggyback off of what Phylicia just said. It is when you educate yourself about the person next to you, you treat them differently.
Yep.
When you know better, you do better.
Yep. Yep.
If you don't investigate and you're not curious about the person next to you, whether it be a family member or the person driving Uber or whoever it is, if you're not curious about the other, then it becomes easier to not treat them as a human being. It becomes easier to cast them aside or not care if they're not taken care of. So we have to stay curious about each other. And that goes beyond LGBTQ. That goes to all kinds of things. All experiences.
Ms. Phylicia, you did mention your work with students. Could you talk a little bit about that part of you were both Renaissance people, when you devoted yourself to academia and really dove in on that and worked so closely with students? Talk a little bit about what led you to that and what you brought out of that experience and why you continue to be involved with everything else on your plate.
Well, my work in academia goes back to the 1990s, when sometimes I would be invited as a guest lecturer at places, yes? But it was Al Freeman Jr., who some of you may remember, who was at that time chair of the Department of Theater at Howard University, who invited me to teach a series of master classes over the course of a semester. And at that time, I was also working with Mr. Cosby on the second show, Cosby, which meant I worked in the studio from Monday to Thursday. And Friday morning, I'd get up and take a flight to Washington to teach this class that was supposed to last for 1 hour, but stretched to 2 and 3 hours because the students wouldn't leave. And in that class was Susan Phylicia Watson, Chadwick Boseman, Camilla Forbes, G. Alvarez Reed. That they were an amazing group of students, and it wasn't limited to one classification or another. Obviously, students were welcome to come into the class, right? And it was from that class that those first 10 students from Howard University went to the British American Dramatic Academy at Oxford. They were fearless. Now, the first thing I had to do was get them to read. You know, I walk in there and, somebody came in with some Kentucky Fried Chicken and I invited them to sit out in the hall and finish their lunch. And then they told the class I we have discipline. Yes.
That's the HBCU experience. Okay.
To me, as I watched the work, I asked the question, what are you reading? Because as a theater student myself, I ventured out of the College of Fine Arts and studied foreign language and psychology and philosophy and literature with some of the stellar faculty on campus. And I wanted to know what were they reading. They were all about a script in theater. I said, oh no, we're going to fix this. So they, Fanon, Camus, the Greeks, of course, Toni Morrison, James Baldwin, here's a list. Pick what you want to read, go read it. I want you all reading something else that's not related to this department and the work that you're doing. Something that has nothing to do with being seen on stage or the screen. Go read it. And they saw for themselves how expansion of the intellect influenced their work and made it finer It made it better because they were becoming sharp and keen. See? Now, I really enjoyed that. I grew up with a mother who's a poet.
Mm-hmm.
So there were books everywhere. And it also was a time when children loved reading.
Yes,
Having a book
yes.
in your hand was like,
Yes.
oh man, this is a badge of honor. You know, you used to like to carry as many books home from school as you could.
That's right.
It's a little different now. But
Yeah,
I
a lot different.
like watching the students become masters. Because they have Susan Kelechi Watson is a master, Camilla Forbes is a master, Chapman Bozeman is a master. Let's face it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I saw that one of the great parts about teaching, one of the necessary ingredients, is for the teacher to see mastery in the student.
Yes.
Even though the student has not attained that, but it's there.
Amen.
Then you have to talk to people like that, and be with people like that, and engage with people like that, and not allow them to give less of themselves. Because that's how they will achieve that mastery that is there. I don't have to put it there, it's there.
There.
I love that. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
You know. And Howard University, well, my father was a graduate of the College of Dentistry, and my sister and I are graduates. It was formative years in my life, a very important time in my life. Every time I returned to that campus, and I think everybody here who's attended a college, and especially an HBCU, doesn't have to be high. There is something about the intention upon which these institutions were founded.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the power of that intention that holds integrity. And when you step on the campus, you feel it. Yeah? Yeah, at one time in my life, at one of the lowest points in my life, my mother came to New York, and she went to Washington because she was on the advisory committee for the what was that? The National Council for what was that? The one that they got rid of.
Oh, bunch of them.
National Endowment. My mother knew that I was having a very tough time, and she said, I'm going to Washington. I want you to join me, and I want you to bring my grandson because I want him to see where his mother went to school. When I got out of the cab and set foot on the sidewalk behind the library in front of Death Valley, all that confusion that I had been experiencing melted away because I was grounded.
Amen.
I was grounded. My mother knew that would happen, you know. So I forgot what your question was.
That story was good, though.
Go back to college if you could be my teacher.
Right.
Very important.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up to us
Yes, it is.
to preserve it.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Well, we do want to get the cast up here, but first, people out here would just say, why did you ask him this if I did not ask you about your time working with Michelle Obama? And how that, in a sense, because you did so many things, just one informed the other. And, you know, what was that like?
Well, I think the audience has come to know that I'm someone who will talk myself into a problem or situation. And sometimes that has to do with good ego or whatever it's, you know. So it was 2007, everybody was a Facebook warrior, and they would say things on the keyboard that they would never say or do in real life. And a lot of my artist friends were saying, well, somebody needs to do this and help him get elected. People need to, you know, do that. And I thought, you're all right, but we're not doing that sitting here in front of the computer. So I put my whole career aside, and I was doing okay at the time, if I may say so. But you know, things develop as they develop. So I put things aside and I volunteered. And on that first event that I volunteered for, they were going to a barbershop in West Philly as what is now called an OTR, an off-the-record stop. You know how you'll see a politician walk in a diner, and you wonder, how did they just walk in there and nobody saw them coming?
Yeah.
But then by the time they go out, there's a crowd waiting for them. That's all set up by the advance team. So my friend was on the team, and he said, come volunteer in this Philly thing, and you're an actor, so I think you can help us make this cool. We need to, you know, they're running close with Hillary, but we got to make them cool. So I was assigned to go to the barbershop, get my hair cut, scope it out, just go in as a customer, you know, scope it out, and then report back to the Secret Service, who was like a few streets down and over at like a little safe house, and describe what I saw inside, so they know which entrance and exits to come in and protect. And they were fascinated at how completely I described every single thing. They didn't know, like, I'm an actor. You bring the actors up in a minute. When the first day of tech, when they get on the set, like, this is my chair? Oh, okay. Does this bear weight? Miss Phylicia, can I move this thing? So my mind just works that way theatrically. So that day went well for them. There was an orphanage across the street, a daycare orphanage center, that I thought a better shot would be them with those kids over. Now, I'm a volunteer. And I'm sitting over there thinking, you know what would be the better shot? So I told my friend as they were finishing up at the barbershop, I said, hey, you hear those kids yelling, Obama, Obama? That's the shot. Get young people, their parents, the young voters. That's what. And he was like, Paul, just thank you. You got a nice haircut. Go. I said, no. I kept arguing with him, and he said, okay, fine. You get the press back off the bus, set them up, and I'll go get the Obamas, and if this backfires, I'm going to kill you. They came across, they went on the porch, each picked up a kid, whatever it was. That shot became the photo of the day internationally. No one even remembered the barbershop got some shots too. But that was the lawyers and all the big things, right? So apparently that evening, Mrs. Obama said to her staff, who made us go across the street? And they thought she was mad about it. So they were all like, that was Ryan. It was a tall one. Somebody will hire him. I want him on my team. And then suddenly I was faced with, I talked myself into this, and I'm really going to do it. There were all kinds of acronyms to learn. It was a world I was not familiar with, but actors can fit in.
I know that's right.
So what I didn't know, I pretended to know. But what I did know is, what I quickly figured out is, politics is theater.
Yes.
And I didn't know that before. It's a show. When they speak at a rally, do they have the information that 3 days ago this small town lost a fireman in the town? And they weren't getting that kind of stuff. But I'm a theater kid. So the week we would spend preparing, I would be getting in the neighborhood and figuring out what's really going on in this neighborhood, what do these people care about? And I'd slip a little information to Mrs. O's press staffer, side, number 2 person, and say, hey Jarvis, I think that she said something about this. And the first few times it was like, oh, don't move the folding chairs. Don't worry, I know you want to do more than you. But little by little, worked my way in there. And then after 6 months or so, I couldn't imagine myself being back and doing theater.
So you're the one that got all those interviews with Michelle Obama.
Sure, yes.
Yes, that was it.
But I made sure it looked good.
Well, let's bring some wonderful cast members.
Yes.